Good afternoon everyone, and today I'm featuring the 2025 Honda Pilot Black Edition, the top trim in the Honda Pilot lineup. Acceleration is very linear, it's very smooth. Alright, good afternoon everyone, welcome to my channel Roman Rides, and today I'm featuring my review and a short test drive 2025 Honda Pilot, the Black Edition. This is the top lineup, so let's go straight to the specs and the differences between this model and other lineup models. So the 2025 Honda Pilot Black Edition, I was really interested and I was chasing this vehicle. Finally, I have found this vehicle available here at Honda Wesley Chapel in Florida, Tampa Bay area. So in a few words, how does this vehicle stack up against other vehicles in the lineup, like other models and other trim levels? So basically, in a nutshell, this is the top line Honda Pilot Elite, which is basically has been blacked out all over the place, like all around. So you have the same, basically the same wheels, but they are blacked out wheels. Everything is just blacked out. You have no chrome details here. Still, you have LED reflector style headlights. You have fog lights, also LED headlights. You have parking sensors. You have Black Edition. So Black Edition label is the only part that actually is done in chrome. Everything else is just blacked out. The window trim is blacked out. Black mirror caps, roof rails are blacked out as well. Black wheels, I already said that. In the back of the vehicle, you have all-wheel drive badge is blacked out. Black Edition obviously is blacked out, and the Pilot itself is blacked out. LED headlights, but incandescent lights here in the back for the reverse. Yeah, for the reverse light. Actually, for the reverse light, it looks like LED, but turn signal is definitely incandescent light bulb. So basically, that's the only exterior difference between the Honda Pilot Elite. I think now it's time to talk about technical specs of this vehicle. And there's no surprise that this vehicle basically has the same engine as other Honda Pilot vehicles, which is J35Y8. So Y8 stands for no VTEC anymore. Unfortunately, compared to the other generations of Honda Pilot, this which had the VTEC on the intake valves, this engine does not have VTEC at all, but it's still featuring the VTC, which is variable timing for both camshafts. This system is available for intake and exhaust valves, respectively. And the only vehicle actually in this class is its sibling, which is Acura MDX, that still features a slightly different version of this engine with a higher output. And that car actually features, unlike the Honda Pilot, features the VTEC on the intake valves. So in terms of power, it's 285 horsepower, 262 pound-feet of torque, which is 355, 360 Newton meters of torque for my Canadian or European viewers watching this video. In terms of all-wheel drive, actually, and also it's made it to a 10-speed automatic transmission. So it's like at least two, three more gears for overdrive cruising. In terms of all-wheel drive, actually, this is very interesting because unlike other vehicles in this class, which may also have the V6 under the hood, this vehicle features a two-clutch style rear axle. Basically the same, from a mechanical perspective, basically the same system as Acura MDX, which Acura calls this system like super handling all-wheel drive, and Honda calls it VTM, if I'm not mistaken. I have to check the, yes, IVTM for all-wheel drive, which means you have two clutches here in the back. There is active torque split happening, so the torque that's coming, like up to 70% of the torque coming to the rear-wheel drive, to the rear wheels, it can be split between each of these rear wheels, and also, yeah. So basically, this car behaves as a rear, or tries to behave as a rear-based architecture vehicle. For example, like vehicles like Ford Explorer or Jeep Grand Cherokee, which are based on the rear-wheel drive platform. This obviously is based on front-wheel drive platform, but still, because of that sophisticated all-wheel drive system, this vehicle can actually turn into corners more eagerly compared to other competitors in this class. Other than that, the ground clearance 7.3 inches. You can get more ground clearance if you opt for a Honda Pilot Trail Sport, which features 8.3 inches of ground clearance. Overall, I think that's about it in terms of the specs. In terms of the suspension, it's a regular McPherson struts in the front, and it's a multi-link in the back. I will add weights and dimensions if necessary. In terms of fuel efficiency, this vehicle has been rated for 21 miles per gallon combined cycle. It's 19 city, 25 highway. So vehicles like, for example, like Volkswagen Atlas, they can be more fuel efficient, but it's 4-popper under the hood, and this is tried and true, very reliable V6 mated to 10-speed automatic. There are more differences in the cabin of this vehicle compared to the regular Honda Pilot Elite. And first of all, you have the black edition embroidered here. You have this red accent throughout the cabin, red accents on the seats themselves. You have contrast red stitching here, no piping. Piping is regular black. Also, what you have contrast red stitching on the steering wheel. You have black headliner, the black ceiling, and and you have the red stitching here on the door panels, on the armrest. You have your lumbar support and basic power controls for the seat. You have no power steering wheel, so steering wheel can be adjusted manually. And you also have this red contrast stitching here on the dash. Aside from that, that's about it. That's the top trim in terms of the options and features. The top trim, same as the Honda Pilot Elite. You have your heads-up display. You have a fully digital gauge cluster, which you can cycle through and showing different information like phone, FM, AM radio, Sirius XM, USB, Bluetooth connections, and some applications. You can go back. You can customize this display and hide and show audio, clock, and all that stuff. So, and using this scrolling wheel and using this right scrolling wheel, you can cycle through other information like the active torque split between the rear and front axle, occupant seat belts, maintenance, oil life, your tire pressure, safety support. Obviously, in terms of safety features, it's got blind spot monitoring, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, and emergency braking, driving forward, driving backwards as well. You have ventilated seats, you have heated 3-stage seats, you have heated steering wheel. It's a 3-zone climate control. All knobs, they're physical, and this is a highlight of this vehicle, obviously, compared to vehicles which fully rely on the infotainment system when it comes to sitting the heated seats or setting the heated seats or ventilated seats. In terms of the infotainment system, the screen is relatively small compared to the competition in this class, but still it's based on Android Automotive. You have your physical turning knob, you have a few hard buttons here for home, back, and for seeking tracks as well. Everything else is here. It buried infotainment system or multimedia system, whatever you can call it. You have your AC vents located here. You have the storage here, as well as a glow box compartment. It's not felt. You have the Bose audio system black headliner. You have sunglasses holder up in the front here. You have a sunroof, so you have this shade which can be automatically retracted back, or you can put it back to the forward position because it's extremely hot outside. It's Tampa Bay area. It's been raining all these days, and now it's super sunny, so very contrasting weather here in the area. The seats, the only complaint about the seats, the seat cushion is relatively short. So I'm 6.2, so I would like to have a longer cushion itself, or maybe under thigh support. That would be just great. And where Honda Pilot actually shines in this class compared to competitors, because you have so many cup holders and cubbies and different places where you can put your phone. You have obviously wireless charger. This is your 10-speed automatic transmission controls, obviously all the buttons, and I prefer buttons over a regular shift lever. So you have drive modes, obviously you have sport, normal, snow, trail, they're all depicted here, sand, and towing as well. Towing is available, and eco mode as well. And these settings really impact how this all-wheel drive iVTM4 works, which is, as I have mentioned before, basically the same in terms of mechanical part, basically the same as Acura MDX. You have 2 cup holders, you have great storage options here, USB Type-C, Type A, cigarette style charging port. You have huge compartment available here. And in terms of space, because there's three-row SUV, if you'd like to check on how you get into the third row. So this is where, let me try to get into the third row. I'm 6.2, so I should be able to sit here comfortably. Yes, so I'm 6.2, and take a look. I'm sat here comfortable, absolutely comfortable. I'm wearing a hat right now, so I can put the cap back. And yeah, I think that's great. You have your personal AC vents, you have your USB Type-C charging port, you have two cup holders, the vents are here, as I mentioned. Yeah, that's enough space actually for 2 adults or maybe 3 children. And you have this the central section, which can actually be removed. And yeah, in order to get out of the vehicle, you just press that button. And in terms of transformation, it's extremely easy. So, but it's not like a full captain chairs vehicle, a second row captain chairs vehicle. But you can transform it into this way. So you can basically remove this one, or you can do this, and this will serve as the central armrest for the second row passenger, or you can completely remove that, but it will not be like full captain chairs because you'll be missing individual armrests here. In terms of options and convenience, here you have your third climate zone. You can control it here, you can control it from the front. You can lock it, for example, if you have children here, you can lock the system from the main controls here, so that the children will not be able to adjust the temperature. And also you have heated seats, you have map pockets here available, AC vents. Yeah, it's extremely spacious vehicle. You also have manual sunshades available here, a lot of cup holders, a lot of storage options for bottles. So you see, this is why people buy a Honda Pilot. This is why this is my, probably it's unbiased opinion, but definitely I'm being honest, this is why my favorite vehicle in this class. Comparing like all these options combined together, V6, reliable, tried and true, extremely configurable cabin, and a lot of space. So yeah, so let's talk about the pricing of this vehicle. So the 2025 Pilot all-wheel drive black edition, the MSRP for this vehicle is $55,675. The car is assembled in Alabama. Yeah, so it's $56,000. It's a Bose audio premium system with 12 speakers. It's wireless phone charger, blind spot monitoring zone, and what else we have here? You have drivers and front passenger airbags, side airbags, and drivers and front passenger knee airbags as well. They're available here. So $55,000. Yes, it's more expensive than the top trim Honda Elite, which is no longer the top trim version because the black edition took over that position from Honda. But now I think it's time to take this vehicle for a quick spin and then wrap this video up. To be honest, guys, and this is really unbiased opinion, I mean, obviously it's very subjective for a lot of people, but personally to me, this is the best vehicle in the class. I already tested it a few times because I have my different channel, and I'd like to say, and I have to admit that based on my test drive experience with other vehicles in this class, like Volkswagen Atlas, Hyundai Palisade, and Kia Telluride, and a few more, even vehicles built on the rear-wheel drive platforms like Ford Explorer and a few more other vehicles. Obviously, I'm not talking about GMC Acadia and Buick Enclave. So among all of those vehicles, this vehicle is the best in terms of how smooth the ride is, how comfortable the ride is, and just the beauty of that naturally aspirated V6. Yeah, so my thoughts on riding in this vehicle and driving over road imperfections and some high granular and high grain asphalt, some asphalt patches and all that stuff. I'd like to say that this is a very comfortable vehicle, and it's not trying to be a vehicle that it's not. Like, it's not trying to be a sporty vehicle, it's not trying to be a very agile and very nimble. It's just extremely comfortable, it's extremely smooth in terms of how Honda actually combined the drivetrain with the powertrain. So 10-speed automatic transmission, like a regular conventional with a torque converter, as well as this extremely smooth V6 natural aspirated. The only drawback in this engine compared to Acura, for example, MDX in the current generation, is that this vehicle, this engine particularly, does no longer have the VTEC technology, which is in charge of the valve lift. So how high valves can actually go up and down. But it still features the VTC, which is like variable timing. Acceleration is very linear, is very smooth. The transmission has no jerks, nothing. It's just very comfortable. You have a lot of daylight coming into the cabin because of how huge these windows are. Only drawback, because my height is 6.2, is that the cushion of the seat is slightly shorter than I wish it had a longer cushion or some extendable under thigh support. That would be just extremely great. But without that, it's still tolerable. But this is where you're gonna notice that during like long trips, during long road trips, if you're tall enough, like myself, for example. Other than that, it's extremely comfortable, and I really like the ergonomics of this vehicle, because your elbow, your left elbow, obviously you can put it here on the left door panel, on the armrest and the door panel here. Your right elbow just naturally rests here on the central armrest, and this is really very comfortable because your driving position is like 9.3 or like 10.2, probably 9.3. Especially, but it really depends on your height, how tall you are. Everyone has a slightly different driving position, but visibility is just extremely high, extremely nice. I wish the side mirrors were just a bit taller, so they're wide enough to provide great information of the road, what's happening behind the vehicle. But I wish they were a bit taller. That's very minor complaints about this vehicle, like under thigh support, absence, and slightly shorter mirrors. But everything else, tri-zone climate control, ventilated seats, heads-up display. Yeah, the fuel efficiency, this is where vehicles like Toyota Grand Highlander or just regular Highlander, they win this competition because of fuel efficiency. But if you want to drive an ultimate SUV, 3-row, 7-seater, I think there's nothing better than this vehicle in terms of different hobbies in cabin transformation and general feeling. When you drive this vehicle, first of all, it sounds really great because there is no faux popper trying or pretending to be sporty like Volkswagen Atlas. Volkswagen Atlas is just a great vehicle, but unfortunately Volkswagen decided to axe the VR6 engine, which was available before 2024 for 2020 up to 2023 models. So Kia Telluride, Hyundai Palisade, and this one, Honda Pilot, they still carry the V6 under the hood, which is really great. Yes, fuel efficiency is not that great, but in terms of how smooth this transmission, you almost do not notice any upshifts or downshifts in this vehicle, which is really great, which again highlights the nature of this vehicle. This is just relaxed driving. You don't feel any jerkiness, which is natural for 4-poppers and 8-speed transmissions, async transmissions like in Volkswagen, for example, because I drove that vehicle, I remember that. Korean competitors in this class, they also feature very and greatly smooth and detailed transmission, and the combination of the engine and transmission is really great in those vehicles as well. But those vehicles, they're not that comfortable. So the level of comfort in this vehicle is just amazing. And everything is huge. You see so many cubbies, so many cup holders and other stuff and other places where you can put everything. Just a huge central console compartment available here. Yeah, this vehicle is not cheap. This is the top trim, as I mentioned, like $50,000+ for this vehicle. But you have a lot of options. You have natural aspirated, very reliable engine, 10-speed automatic transmission, because Acura vehicles got these transmissions before Honda Pilot new generation went on market. So you have ventilated seats, heated seats, heated steering wheel. Yeah, hate this traffic light, but yeah, we'll have to stay here. The only time when you hear this engine, obviously during hard acceleration, everything else is just extremely smooth. And the benefit of having this 10-speed transmission during a long trip is that you do not hear the engine at all. It's not stressed because 10 gears, so you do not stress this engine at all. This is where this reliability comes compared to Volkswagen Atlas, for example. That vehicle is just great, but the 4-cylinder engine is stressed much more than this one. And still it has more horsepower than that engine. Yes, torque, you have to rev this engine a bit up in order to get the torque compared to 4-cylinder, but other than that, it's just very nice. I always said that this is one of my favorite vehicles. Basically, this is my favorite vehicle in this class. And unfortunately, Honda removed the base EX model, or sorry, not EX, LX model from the lineup, so you only have EX from what I remember in Sport. Have to check the Honda website. And the cabin is really quiet. What I noticed, I didn't hear any squeaks or rattles, so everything, the build quality is really nice. A lot of soft touch molded plastic here, so no hard plastic everywhere. This is where it really comes handy because you don't hear any squeaks or rattles or noise. Yeah. And I have this old school feeling sitting in this vehicle. Like it's something from early 2000s or maybe late 90s even, because everything is so simple. You have a lot of physical knobs and physical inputs. You don't have to rely on the screen completely. The infotainment system is just for infotainment purposes, right? For radio controls and all that stuff, right? But still you have this physical knob. Final thoughts on the 2025 Honda Pilot Black Edition. Even though this vehicle got more expensive, to be honest, all vehicles and basically everything due to inflation, it's got more expensive. So I cannot deny that. It's just a fact. But aside from this, aside from the price, yes, you can get this vehicle starting for low 40s and build it up to this Black Edition trim, which is like $55,000, $56,000. That's a lot because another bad news for those who were looking to buy this vehicle is because bad news because Honda dropped the base LX trim, so now it's no longer available. Probably I will add this information. I just don't remember from out of my head which one is the lowest trim right now. Probably the Sport would be the lowest, or EX. I just don't remember. But still, you can have this vehicle in a front-wheel drive configuration for low 40s and up to 55, 56, as I mentioned before. I think the sweet spot would be the EX or Touring model, especially if you live somewhere where you have 4 seasons like winter and spring and summer and fall. This is where you will need all-wheel drive, and all-wheel drive is really sophisticated. So after testing this vehicle, what I noticed, first of all, in a good way, this is where this vehicle actually evokes very old school feeling of the cars, because it's just very simple in terms of all controls. You have knobs, you have buttons here, you have all the switches basically for main operations. They are all physical. This is number one. Number two, it's a V6 natural aspirated, tried and true. It's 10-speed automatic. It's extremely comfortable vehicle, so it just eats up all these miles, and it just goes over and drives over potholes and road imperfections just extremely well. And you don't have any jerkiness in the transmission. Like, for example, comparing with Volkswagen Atlas, yeah, I have to admit Volkswagen Atlas and some of the other competitors in this class, they have some jerkiness in terms of upshifting and downshifting, especially when approaching traffic light. This is where you're going to notice that upshifts and downshifts. If some people think that this is normal, yes, this is normal. It's a feature of that 8-speed AC, for example, if I'm talking about Volkswagen. But generally, if compared to this vehicle, 10-speed automatic is just extremely smooth, and they have configured and combined the drivetrain and powertrain extremely well. So this is why I praise this vehicle. It's really very nice. It's extremely spacious. The cabin is really quiet. I haven't heard any squeaks or rattles throughout my test drive. Yes, it's been short, but I don't want to add miles. It's a new vehicle, obviously. And again, thanks Honda Wesley Chapel for providing me with this vehicle, for getting me an opportunity to get to know this vehicle and share my experience and my unbiased and personal opinion. Yes, it may be very subjective for some of you who are looking for this vehicle or other vehicles in this class, but some of the highlights of this vehicle, it's a great storage availability, right? You have so many cup holders and cubbies available here. You have, actually, I forgot to mention, it has a two memory seats for two positions, but only for driver. It's extremely comfortable and huge space. And one of the drawbacks is because I wish this model had a taller side mirrors, external side mirrors, because they are wide enough, but they are not tall enough. And the next drawback, but it also depends on how tall you are, because for myself, for example, I found the cushion of the seat slightly shorter than I wanted it to be. So I would like to have extendable thigh support. That would be really great. So this is like one minus of this vehicle. Other than that, the infotainment system, yeah, the screen is relatively small, but why would you need like a huge screen? Right? Because everything, like all these controls for your heated seats, ventilated, climate control, everything else, your drive modes, they're controlled and operated by physical knobs and buttons. So this is the main important thing. You have your remote start, which you can use, and for example, if you live in a colder climate, you don't have to rely on the infotainment system, so that ventilated or heated seats, they're all buried in the infotainment system. You have extremely huge panel sunroof and sunshades, manual sunshade, 3-zone climate control, heated seats. I mean, in terms of packaging and proposition, this is a good value proposition. If you don't need this black appearance package, just go and buy a Elite version or Touring, for example, or EXL, for example, and maybe add a all-wheel drive and a few more options. So that's just my personal opinion I wanted to share with you guys. If you enjoy watching this video, thank you so much. Please support this channel, subscribe and hit like, add a comment. I always reply to all comments, and thank you for watching. See you next time.